Nowadays, almost everyone has their own gadget. Not only adults, most children also have their own gadget. In the gadget, there are applications that helps our activities.
Message, there are WhatsApp, Line, Telegram, online shopping. There are Shopee, Lazada, Bukalapak, and many else. Or maps, there's Google Maps, and there are many applications that can help our activities.
These applications were made by humans with special skill. So, who actually made the app? Application development requires many people with different skill, and one important role is software developer.
This time, we will talk a lot about software developers, what they do, and what skill one must have if they want to become a software developer. Enjoy our video. What is software development? What does a software developer do? The answer to the question, what does a software developer do, is very straightforward. A software developer develops software application. The problem is that not many people outside the IT industry know what software development involves.
If a software developer is someone who develops software application, what about programmers, software engineers, and the coders? Are they just different names from the same profession? Or are there any important difference between them? The answer is yes and yes.
Software developer, someone who builds software application from start to finish. Programmer, an older term for a software developer. Software engineer, someone who applies the principles of software engineering to software development. According to the Bureau of Labor Statistics, software engineering is the systematic application of scientific and technological knowledge, methods, and experience to design, implementation, testing, and documentation of software.
Coder is someone who writes software code. Coder, sometimes called coder monkeys, often write just small part of much larger applications. You also might call a coder someone who uses a markup language like HTML instead of a true programming language like JavaScript. Let's explore day-to-day activities of software developers. Learn what skill they use every day, including mobile app developer and web app developer, their skill, their education, job outlook, and more.
Broadly speaking, software development is sometimes defined as a process by which standalone or individual software is created using a specific programming language. This process can be broken down into different steps: conceiving, specifying, designing, programming, documenting, testing, and bug fixing. And there are multiple approaches to software development that organize these steps.
Software developers develop software applications using a variety of programming languages, which of which is suitable for slightly different tasks. According to the Popularity of Programming Language Index, which is created by analyzing how often language tutorials are researched on the Google, the most popular programming language at the moment is Python, followed by Java, JavaScript, C, and PHP.
Just like there are art and music teachers, language teachers, or biology teachers, there are also different types of software developers, and each type solves specific problem and has domain-specific knowledge.
In software development is the part of a software application you see and interact with. For example, a file manager can be seen as front-end to the file system, which control how data is stored and retrieved. Front-end developers typically don't have a very deep understanding of computer science theory. Instead, their expertise lies in various JavaScript, frameworks, HTML, CSS, user experience designs, and user interface design.
But if a file manager is front end to the file system, then we can say that the file system is the back end of the file manager because it handles data storage and is removed from the user. Indeed, back-end developers specialize in the building and the maintaining the logical infrastructure that power user-facing components.
When you open Google search in your web browser, all you see is an assuming search bar with two buttons and a couple of options around it. However, behind the simple search bar is a mind-bogglingly complex system developed by leading back-end developers, and its purpose is to crawl the web, index it, and retrieve the most accurate search result. The system behind the Google search page is written in Python, Java, and C++, which are three very popular back-end programming languages. Back-end developer also work with database, caching systems, and servers. A software developer that has both front-end development skills and back-end development skills is called a full-stack developer. A long time ago, all software developers were full-stack developers, but with the increasing complexity of software application and the size of software development teams growing, the demand for full-stack developer has shrunk. Depending on the project, some choose to assemble a large teams of developers and divide them into separate teams working on back-end and front-end. Basic developer develops software application for desktop and server operating system, such as Windows, Mac OS, Linux, or BSD. For many years, desktop application development dominated the IT industry, but the demand for desktop application has decreased considerably during the last 2 decades because of the rise of the internet and mobile devices. Desktop developers typically use C++, Java, or Python.
Web developers are software developers who specialize in the development of websites. In the late 90s and early 2000s, websites were much simpler than today, consisting of not much more than formatted text and image. Over the years, websites have become so complex that we now talk about web applications to signify how similar they are to desktop and mobile applications. While HTML and CSS knowledge is still required, web developers should also be skilled in JavaScript, PHP, database, web design, user experience design, and search engine optimization.
The demand for mobile development has skyrocketed with the advent of smartphones and tablets. Two mobile operating systems dominate the mobile landscape today, Android and iOS, and each of these two operating systems support different program language, frameworks, and development environments. Mobile developers learn to create mobile applications, which are sometimes designed to completable even with desktop operating system. Because mobile development is very young and dynamic, mobile developers must always be on the lookout for new technologies and technological approaches.
In addition to writing code, software developers have many other responsibilities and day-to-day duties. First, reading other people's code. The reason why software developers read through other people's code is real software application is an incredibly complex product of large software development teams. Reading other people's code is also a great way to improve one's software development skills. Documenting code by documenting their own code is one thing for a software developer to understand his or her own code. Software developers can also identify potential areas of improvement, which help them produce code that not only works but works well.
Testing code. Testing is an important part of software development, and all software developers test their own code just like write their own reading to identify grammar mistake and stylistic error.
Participating in meeting is for help the whole team stay on the same page and complete our objective. And mentoring is senior software developer assist junior software developer with their learning and career growth, sharing their knowledge, giving them advice, and answering their questions.
While the general principles of software development are relatively stable, software developers must maintain a constant state of learning and self-improvement to remain competitive and employable.
Nowadays, software developers have many responsibilities, and they need to have a few additional skills behind writing code, like business knowledge or soft skill need during meetings, or while explaining various aspects to a client.
However, we shall not forget the first and foremost to be a great specialist. Every software developers need to have solid tech skill and passion for the job.